SAT practice on YouTube and in other social media platforms, I want you to be sure you go into the description of this video. You will be able to download the problems that I do today and also previous days' problems. We have them all at that link. And we are going to be doing about 20 to 30 minutes of practice today for the SAT. I always say that incremental practice is much better than cramming. So I try to provide some practice over about 20 minutes or so to get us through. I'm going to start with math today because I've been starting with reading and writing all the other days. So I'm going to start with math today, but we will be covering 3 questions in math, 3 questions in grammar, and we will be working through all of that today. So hopefully you guys can hear me and see me. We're going to get started. I'm going to project my screen. My name is Kathleen Jasper, and I specialize in test preparation, how to think like a test maker, be strategic, be quick. Today, these math problems are actually sort of easy. And I want that for you because you're going to need to identify the easy problems quickly and grab them as quickly as possible, because when you do that, you can bank that time for the more complex problems that happen later in the module. So the questions we're going to be doing today in math probably would be towards the beginning or middle of the module. And then, you can bank some time. You should get these questions within 15 seconds, 20 seconds, so that you can save that extra time for the end where things get a little bit more complex. All right, so let's get started on the math questions. Like I said, typically you would do reading and writing first, but we've been doing that a lot. So I want to skip over to math. I'm only going to be using the Desmos calculator for one question. The rest of them you can just do on your own. You can use the Desmos calculator for all different types of things. I tend to use it whenever we're graphing, and we will need to graph one time. And the Desmos calculator will help you be very strategic and quick as well. So let's go ahead and start here. So I can see that I have a system of equations, and it says the solution to the given system of equations is xy. What is the value of y? So let's not make this very complicated. This is one of those easy ones. We have 2x equals 8. And then we have this equation, 2x plus y equals negative 2x plus y equals negative 4. Be careful. Well, if 2x equals 8, then that means we have negative 8 plus y equals negative 4. Well, negative 8 plus what equals negative 4? Y equals 4b is the answer. Okay. Super easy, super quick. Should be able to, a lot of times you can just look at that. You don't even have to work it out by hand. I did because I'm here to teach you this math, but of course, you may have gotten that very quickly. That's okay. The easy ones are important too. Make sure you, let me move this y equals 4 here. You want to do the easy ones as well. Why won't my thing work? Work. There we go. Hang on. My pen just died on me. All right, there we go. We want to get the easy ones as well because, why is this not working? Hold up, you guys. My pen needs to work, please. Here we go. But it's not. Let's go here. Let's go here. Let's go here. I don't know why my pen is not working. Give me 1 second here. I got to go out. Let me stop sharing here. 1 second, please. I have to get my pen to work. So going back to that, we want to make sure that we're cognizant of those easy questions, because those easy questions are going to help us bank some time in with the harder questions. So there we go. I fixed it. We're live and sometimes things happen. So we just have to keep it on. All right. I just wanted to move this y equals 4 up here so I can have some room here for my triangle. Okay, there we go. All right. Question 2 is a triangle. We have A, B, C. Typically they'll have this there too. I didn't do that when making this question. I apologize, but it does say for the right triangle shown. So even though I didn't have the box there, it says it in the question that it is a right triangle. Remember, in order for it to be a right triangle, it either needs to have this box here or it needs to say it in the question. Otherwise, it's just a triangle. Remember that, height could be skewed a little bit here and there, but make sure it says it's a right triangle. Typically, it's going to do that. And it says for the right triangle shown, A equals 6. So we're going to do that. And B equals 8. Okay. I can see I have a right triangle. I have A, B, and C looking like Pythagorean theorem. Which expression represents the value of C? Now, this is why looking at your answer choices are so important. I'm telling you, I've done this before on math tests where I'm so zoned in that I start doing the math, and I come up with the answer. Excuse me. When all they want here is not the whole thing done out. They want it broken up a little bit. That we're not looking for the final answer. We're looking for the way we can set this up in the Pythagorean theorem. So be careful. Always look at your answer choices here. And you can see there isn't just one right answer, or one single number, I should say, as the answer. We are going to be using the Pythagorean theorem, which is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Right away, I can see D is my answer, because if I want to find C, which is what we're doing here, we have to take the square root of C, which means we have to take the square root of A squared plus B squared. So what this really is since A is 6, this is 6 squared plus 8 squared, taking the square root of that. And that would give us C. Because in order to get rid of this square here, or this to the power of 2, you have to square root it. And whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other. And that's why D is the answer. Another very easy one that we should be grabbing and going so that we can use that time for the more difficult questions that happen at the end of the module. Remember, this is a digital SAT, and it is adaptive scoring, adaptive testing, which means as you start to score these correctly for module 2, they'll start to feed you more difficult questions. So in both the reading and writing and the math, there are 2 modules: module 1 reading and writing, module 2 reading and writing, module 1 mathematics, module 2 mathematics. As you start to answer questions in module 1 correctly, it will feed you more difficult questions. That's a good thing, because they're going to get to your score easier, and you get more points for the questions that are more difficult. So it's okay. It's not that you're being treated unfairly. It's actually a good thing. And so as you start to answer these correctly, you'll get fed more difficult questions. All right. Now, you know right away, I see the function of G is defined by G of X equals 1/5 X plus 3. This looks like slope intercept form. And then I have Y intercept of a graph right away. As soon as I see that, and I can see my answer choices are coordinates, X and Y, right? This is X, this is Y. Anytime I'm seeing this on this exam, I'm going straight to Desmos. Let me just move this over here just slightly so I can pull up my Desmos calculator and pull this up here like that. Okay. As soon as I'm doing this, I'm putting it into Desmos, which I already did. I pre-did this. Let me do it with you just in case. Just so you know, if you're new, you get this calculator on SAT. It is a tool that you pull up, and it looks a little different than it does here. Obviously, I'm using a paper test and I'm writing on it. Yours is going to look a little bit different. That's why I recommend going to the Kelly, or not the Kelly Blue Book, that's for cars, the SAT Blue Book app. And that will allow you to go in and do some practice problems and the Desmos calculator. When you're at home practicing with like my materials or a test prep book or whatever, get that Desmos calculator out and do it on your screen like it's test day. On test day, it's going to be like this. You're going to be looking at the Desmos calculator here, and you're going to be using your keyboard. Now, a couple things with the keyboard, and I've talked about this in all my videos. You need to sort of move things around. Like if you want, you can go G of X, which it's also, G of X, all right, equals, and then we have 1/5, that'll turn it into a fraction. Now, if I put X here, the X goes under the division line. I don't want that. It's 1/5X. So I have to hit that over button. If we're looking at the calculator here, I want it moved. Come on. Why are my things not working for me today? Well, there is my Grammarly button is in the way. All right, let's go there. Let's see if we can get it. There we go. I had to move my Grammarly. Sorry, this thing is so annoying. Okay. You can see that right here are the over buttons right here. So if you push this little button over here, do you see how it goes under there? If I hit the X, the X is under the division sign. I don't want that. I want the X to be for the whole 1.5. So you have to move over. You can also use your keyboard, the arrow on the keyboard. It all works. That's why I say you want to practice when you're at home. You don't want to do this day 1 on test day. X and then +3. All right, there we go. And we have a line. Good. Of course, we're going to have a line. And then look at my answer choices here. It asks, where does it cross the y-intercept? What is the y-intercept of the graph y equals g of x? Well, guess what? This is the y-intercept, correct? Right here. This is x. Right here is x. This is y. Okay, cross is right here. 0,3, B. Took me 2 seconds. Now I was talking it out to you and I was showing you some things with the calculator. That You would have gotten that in just a couple of seconds. Also, we can see that B is the y-intercept. So this is y equals mx plus b, right? And B is the y-intercept. And so 3 is B. So we would go for any answer choice where B is in the y column here because B equals the y-intercept. Okay. So this is the only one with a positive 3, which is right here in the y part of the coordinate plane. So that would work as well. I like to just throw it in Desmos, see what happens. Typically, wherever there's a dot, that's usually my answer. It's that way with parabolas. It's that way with a lot of the questions. Okay. All right. So now we just finished the math. Now you might say, well, those were easy. Yeah, there are going to be some pretty easy ones on the math for SAT. It's okay. You want to be doing those easy ones too. Now let's get into some reading and writing, which again, it's set up a little different here because I'm using my whole screen. I want you to see the whole screen. On test day, it's going to look different. It's going to be inside that College Board SAT container, their interface, the way they have the online test. I'm doing this for you so I can cross things out and show you the way things go. Right away, I'm looking at my answer choices. I'm thinking like a test maker, working backwards, and I can see this is one of those patterns on SAT. They do this a lot. They give you the title of the person and then the name of the person and then something they say. And I want you to remember this. It's always this. No punctuation. You don't need any punctuation. You're going to be tempted to. But in this case, critic James Baldwin states is one thing. Let me show you when I read it. In 1954, African-American singer and actress Dorothy Dandridge, who played numerous supporting roles but never a leading lady, finally got a starring role in the film Cameron Jones, a movie that, critic James Baldwin states, broke new ground for African-American performers in Hollywood. Okay, so you have critic James Baldwin. You don't say critic James Baldwin states, right? We don't do that. That's why A would be out. Critic James Baldwin states, and again, my thing is not working. What's going on? Give me 1 second, please. I apologize. I don't know why this is happening to me today, but something is up with my app. Let me pull it up again. Okay, there we go. Now it's doing it. I don't know why it didn't do it. Okay, there we go. Sorry, sharing one more time. There we go. This is a pattern. They'll put the person's title and then the person's name. On this exam, it's all one thing. Critic James Baldwin states, and then it tells you something that he stated here at the bottom. Okay, now it's really important that we understand, and let's go, it's right here. And my pen will not work today, you guys. So I am just going to, let's see here. I am not sure why my pen will not work today, but it will not. And we are live. So I'm just going to keep going. All right. So we have critic James Baldwin states right here is C. Now, this is way too many commas. Typically, when you're on this test and you see a ton of commas, you don't want to do that. It's usually not the right answer because too much punctuation is just too much punctuation. But let's have a look if we did do that. We have this one we already said was too much. Critic James Baldwin states, broke new ground for, that's just too many pauses. So B is out. But let's have a look at D. You might be tempted to put a comma after states because you have this quotation here. And typically we do a comma quotations, but this is part of the direct object of the sentence. It's part of the predicate of the sentence. And what we want to do is it's not a quote out on its own. If I said, the critic James Baldwin said, comma, and then it's a full complete sentence, that would be a quote. But in this case, we're just grabbing a little piece of what James Baldwin states and we're throwing it in the end. It's part of the sentence. You do not need a formal comma there. Plus, this broke would have a capital B because it starts a new sentence. It would be James Baldwin, James Baldwin states, comma, and then a capital B here because it's basically doing a whole new sentence. And you need that to be part of the sentence. And that's not what's happening here. 9 times out of 10 on the SAT, give the title of the person and the person's name and the word states or said or explained or whatever, no punctuation. Just remember that for test day. Okay. Still doesn't work. Anyway. All right, let's move down here. I'm going to just move my mouse. Sorry, guys. All right. Now I have A, B, C, and D. Again, I'm going to be looking at my answer choices here. And you can see I have claiming, claim, have claim, to claim. This is going to be a subject verb agreement. Oh my God. Am I having technical problems today or what? This is terrible. Something is going on there. Subject verb agreement. You're going to have some sort of subject and the verb claiming, claim, have claimed, or to claim needs to match it. So let's just start right here where we have some economists right here. And again, my pen will not work. I am not sure why. So I'm going to use my mouse here. Some economists, plural, claim, B. We don't say economists claiming, some economists claiming that this bubble was classic example. That doesn't work. Some economists have claimed that this bubble was a classic example of market speculation where prices, that doesn't work either. And some economists to claim, no. Having claimed, to claim, claiming, too much. It's just claim. Also on a test, this is another think like a test maker strategy. You want to make sure you get to the shortest way when it comes to grammar. The quickest, easiest, shortest sentence is the one. Having claimed, to claimed, it's too much. It's too wordy. Get rid of it. Go for the shortest answer. You have claiming here and claim, and the only one that works is claim. Economist, subject, verb, claim. This is subject, verb, agreement, be all day. All right. And let's go to the last one for my problems with technical difficulties today in our live session. I apologize for that. We have by contrast, consequently, secondly, and for example. Thinking like a test maker and working backwards, this is a transition word question. You will have 2 or 3 of these on each module where you have to choose the transition word that goes into the blank here. And this is part of the rhetorical portion of the grammar or the reading and writing part of the exam. The reading and writing is broken up into a bunch of parts, and this is considered the rhetorical. This is sort of how we communicate socially, what sounds correct. You know, all of these would be grammatically correct if you put them in here because they have the right punctuation and stuff, but it's about having the sentence make sense. And that's what rhetoric is. That's what rhetorical is. Okay. So I can see we have some transition words. That sort of means I'm going to have to read the sentence before it. And this while here is a clue. You want to be on the lookout for while. Hopefully you can see my mouse. While. I would be underlining it with my pen if my pen worked properly, but it doesn't. So while traditional paintings and sculptures are often seen as separate art forms, many contemporary artists have created works that blend elements of both. Banksy's street art, for example, combines graffiti techniques with social commentary. So it's saying traditional paintings often see separate art forms. Many contemporary artists smush them all together. Banksy, for example, combines. That's why it's for example. By contrast wouldn't work because they're saying something here. Contemporary artists have created works that blend both elements. Banksy also combines elements. So it wouldn't be by contrast and it wouldn't be consequently. Secondly, sounds weird. For example, is the best one here. So just another way to do this, if you can't really see it, just put it in there and see if it works. While traditional paintings and sculptures are often seen as separate forms of art, many contemporary artists have created works that blend elements of both. Banksy street art, for example, combines graffiti techniques with social commentary, challenges conventional boundaries of art. So it's doing what it said. That's why it says, for example, it's giving an example. Banksy, they give this overarching thing, this kind of generalization about art. And then they say Banksy, for example, that's a specific example that they're giving here. Okay. All right. Now, since my pen doesn't work and I'm having a hard time doing what I normally do each day, I apologize. Let's talk a little bit about the SAT since I can't use my pen. I'm going to have to figure that out in just a second. But let's talk a little bit about the SAT. I always say, if you're going in, you're going to want to use that Desmos calculator. You're also going to want to see my previous videos and also my online course where I go through the Desmos calculator. That calculator is amazing. In fact, let's just have a look. Let's just go through it real quick since I can't draw on my thing here. So this is what it looks like right here. You can put in quadratics. You can put in equations of a line. You can even put in a table. I have a couple of videos where you put in a table and you fill out the table and it will give you a line based on the table. And then you can do the regression on it. This thing is amazing. Also, you can type in, X caret 2. You can use your keyboard to type quickly. That's why I want you to get used to this. On a table, if you're filling out a table, you can use the tab button. So let's say I did 12 over 9 over 56 over 10 over 7. I don't know what I'm doing here. Just pretend like I have a table. These would not work. But you can see when I do the number, I can hit tab and it brings me over to another number. That's why I say work on this Desmos calculator at home. Get used to it. I've only been using this Desmos calculator for a little while. I was the one that did everything by hand and like a calculator like this. Just by getting comfortable with this, I feel like I could do let's not get ahead of ourselves, but I think I could do a lot of math tests and be very, very successful with this Desmos calculator. So you are going to want to use this calculator, use it in practice on your desktop when you're working through my online program or anyone's online program. Be using that Desmos. I know there are a lot of free stuff out there. They're not even showing you how to use Desmos. And I say, why would you not use this tool? This is going to help you increase your score so much. The tools are there. Use them. All right. Now, on top of that, I have some other resources for you I just want to show you before we end today. And this was a short session because I had technical difficulties. I apologize. But let me show you where you can get more stuff. Obviously, I am on YouTube. That's where you're seeing me here. But I also have a TikTok channel. So if you are interested in TikTok, go follow me there. I have another channel with like 20,000 followers that I can go live on and everything like that. But this one, I need 1,000 followers before I can do TikTok live. So follow me on TikTok. Also, here is my website. If you would like to get the problems that I do every day, go to Free Prep here. When you do, you put in your email and you'll be taken to a thank you page where it has all of these handouts. And there are many, many days, lots of original problems that you can work through. It's quite a resource. So definitely check that out. And then if you're looking for more, I have this SAT Prep online. This is the full course. This is 2 full modules of math, 2 full modules of reading and writing, a Desmos calculator tutorial, all of the problems worked out on your screen with me. So much here, lots of good strategy. I teach you how to think like a test maker so that you can really do well on this exam. The key is to think like a test maker, not a test taker. Find the patterns, find the things that you see over and over again. Use the tools and you will be very successful on this exam, okay? All right, so that concludes today. A little bit tragic with my iPad and my pen here. I'm going to have to fix that, but by tomorrow when I go live again tomorrow, sometime between 1 and 3 p.m. I'm trying to figure out what the best time to go live is. If you have any questions, put them in the comments below. I'm happy to film on anything. I'm also going to be doing some how to write an essay and some other stuff that I think you guys need some help with for your high school and college classes. So I'll be doing some of that. So if you have questions at all about any of it, go ahead and put them in the comments below and it will be our pleasure to help. Thank you so much for watching today and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.